Good evening, dear devotees, dear friends. Let us begin our weekly Panchama Veda class with this chanting. Tavo kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriritam kalmashapaham sravana mangalam srimadatatam bhuvi grinanti e bhurida janaha. The last week we have discussed that the goal of human should be God and not the God's power. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna emphatically he said that the divine power, which is called Siddhi in Sanskrit, the Siddhi should not be the goal. It may come, but it should not be the goal. Also, we notice that Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, through his divine vision, assessed the spiritual progress of the devotees and assured, I saw that everyone will succeed. A great assurance. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna saw it. But at the same time, today we are going to listen from him that we should have to be very attentive. So today I have given that title, Dive Deep, Learn to Love God. First dive deep, then learn to love God. Why dive deep? We will come to that. Unless and until we are serious about the spiritual life, then it is of no use. There are so many lectures, talks, bhajans and rituals are there. One can always have those things. But those who are really sincere, so they have to dive deep into the spiritual life. What is this diving deep into the spiritual life? Completely understanding that the world that we see with so many varieties is a untruth. It is temporary. And that conviction, whatever is happening all around us, I am a householder, I have a family, I have my children. So even then, I have to be very, very sincere, thinking that these are for a temporary period of time. Maybe 100 years, that's all. Then I will also die, then I will pass away, then where will be the children, what they will be doing, nothing will remain. It's not a pessimistic idea. It's a very, very subjective way of analyzing the thing. If I am connecting myself, with this body and mind, then I am mistaken. The body is temporary, body is not going to last, and the mind is also temporary. So obviously, even I am a householder, I have a family, I have responsibilities, even then I can dive deep into the spiritual world, spiritual realm, spiritual ocean. If I believe this, my life and the associated things with my life are all temporary. Everything is going to pass. How I can convince myself? Just look at our families. You need not to go to the history. The great-grandfather, then the grandfather, then the great-grandmother and the great-grandmothers, all they passed away. The whole tradition is coming down. The family tree is coming down. Then I have also grown up. Then my children have also grown up. They have also families. So like this, if we go on analyzing just my family, I need not to bother about the history. I need not to go to read the scripture to understand this. From my day-to-day experience, I can understand the life is so transitory, so temporary. So this is the first step, and that will encourage me to go down deep into the spiritual world. And what is the spiritual world? This is the Atman, the consciousness without which nothing can exist. This consciousness, this Atman, has so many names people have given. The one name is God, and that God I must have to love. So Sri Ramakrishna's next sentence, learn to love God. We have to learn how to love God. Why? I can love my mother, I can love my father, I can love my wife, I can love my husband, I can love my country. All love I know. But what about God? I cannot see Him. I cannot touch Him. I cannot talk to Him. He is not having that existence with which I can easily love. So it is difficult to love. So Sri Ramakrishna will teach us how to love God. Now we were reading when all devotees were leaving Dakshineshwar, the Sri Ramakrishna said to aim. So first is so interesting. The God is asking the service from the devotee. The devotees are so eager to serve God, but God is just like a small child. Sometimes He Himself will go and say, Uncle, will you please give this to me, or will you please take it from me? And there is no, you cannot say why the child will go over there to say this to so and so person. No, it is up to him. God is like that. He loves His devotees, particularly Master Mahashaya, the person who has recorded this conversation. Him was a teacher. In those days, the salary of a teacher was very meager, very small amount. But even then, and he was having a big family to maintain with that salary. Even then, the Sri Ramakrishna asking him, please bring 2 pieces of cheap cloth for me. He said, no, not costly, but cheap cloth for me. Look at the luck. When that businessman from Calcutta went to Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna and he wanted to offer 10,000 rupees, Indian currency, and in those days 10,000 is a huge amount. But Sri Ramakrishna refused it. But when this person just going away from the back, Sri Ramakrishna is calling him, asking him, requesting him that this evening we shall read from the chapter 32. Visit to the Siddha Brahmo Samaj. October 19, 1884. On this day, Sri Ramakrishna again visited the Siddha Brahmo Samaj. We have read a little from here. So, and then it goes down like this. Sri Ramakrishna went over there and Trailokya was there. Trailokya was singing. Sri Ramakrishna asked him to sing a particular song that he loved very much. O Mother, make me mad with thy love. O Mother, make me mad with thy love. When Sri Ramakrishna asking this song, it is a particular thing, that they have assembled there, or the Brahmas have assembled there to celebrate. But they are not very sincere. Just for the celebration's sake, all they will be there with the good dresses and everything was, and now they are not that way punctual or sincere. We can think in this way. So the Sri Ramakrishna, he asked the singer, the Trailokya, to sing a song which will give the meaning, O Mother, make me mad with thy love. And afterwards we will see he is actually giving emphasis on that. Becoming mad means forgetting this world and completely concentrating on the God. A mad person forgets everything except the thought that is brooding in his mind. He goes on brooding on that particular thought. Like that, it is Sri Ramakrishna said that you become mad with the thought of God, forget everything else. As he listened to the song, the master's mind underwent a transformation. This is the beauty. A hint through a song or a statement or some sentences, the moment it comes, oh, my mind become mad with the love of God. Immediately Sri Ramakrishna's mind going back and merging with that supreme consciousness, the ultimate reality. Immediately, the mind is so trained. Why? Because he is so sure about that reality, the spiritual reality, about which we are only groping and we are only thinking, we are only reading about it, but we are not very much sure about that. He is so confirmed. That's why his mind going back again and again. That Nirbhik Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi is going back to that. Now slowly his mind is coming down a little to the plane of the sense world. He gave instruction to the devotees. His mind was still charged with the divine experience. His words were spoken as if in a state of intoxication. Gradually, he became again fully conscious of the world, and he prayed to the Divine Mother. We are praying to the Divine Mother, we are praying to the God, make our mind completely free from the worldly thoughts. And he is thinking, no, I like to enjoy, I have to stay over here. Oh, Mother, don't make me completely melted into that ocean of love. And he is asking, oh, Mother, I don't want the bliss of divine inebriation. I shall eat Siddhi. And the eat Siddhi, it is usually Siddhi, as I have seen, they mix it with the milk mainly and drink it. Here Sri Ramakrishna is using the word eat. Of course, in Bengali, they use the word khabo, eat, for the hard things and also the soft things, the liquid things also. But here I don't know whether the Swami who has translated why he has mentioned the eat. But the Sri Ramakrishna's next sentence, he is explaining to the devotees. He said, by Siddhi, I mean the attainment of the spiritual goal and not the one of the 8 occult powers. Friends, the last class, in the last week, we have discussed what are the 8 occult powers and also the other powers that come when one is practicing spirituality, all in details. Now Sri Ramakrishna is going to explain another thing that is really interesting. According to certain school of thought, there are 4 classes of devotees: the Pravartaka, Sadhaka, Siddha, and Siddha of the Siddha. These are the 4 classes. In everywhere, in the Buddhism also we have seen that the different classes are there, and ultimately it is the Arhat or the Buddha that is the ultimate. So it goes on in this way. Then Sri Ramakrishna giving complete in details. He who has just begun religious life is a Pravartaka. Pravartaka, the beginner. He is beginning his life in spirituality. And how we find that? Such a man puts his denominational marks on his body and forehead. In Europe, America, we don't find that, but they carry different type of crosses, those who are Christians, different denominations. They carry different size, different varieties of crosses, and that identify, oh, this man belongs to Methodist church, this man this church, that church. They know it, and those who studied, they also know it. So the different type of, I belong to this particular group. When someone is displaying that, and with a little the ego, I belong to this, he is a pravartak, beginning. You know, the most of the people, they'll be having different type of marks, and then why? Because they like to announce that I'm a religious man, I'm a holy person. The monks are supposed to wear this type of gerua because that was the tradition. But in America, the Ramakrishna mission monks particularly, and with the time when they came, much earlier, 1892-93, when Swami Vivekananda came, he had to wear the trousers and the shirts and the coats. We also use that when you go out. But why this cloth? It is to make myself and also to others, I am a monk. But the marking, that is, Sri Ramakrishna is telling, the just began the religious life, what he does, denominational marks. If you have gone to the South India, you will find, and also in many other places, sometimes you will find on the forehead, a person is wearing one white V. The white color is like the V, and in the center of the V there is a red mark. They belong to a group that is called Madhvacharya and Ramanujacharya group. Sorry, they belong to the Ramanujacharya group. This Shankaracharya, they usually use some ashes with the 3 fingers, and they will mark it on their forehead, and that goes in a parallel way. That is the Shankara. But the Vaishnavas in a different form, and they will be also touching the ear, mark on the nose. Gaudiya Vaishnav, the Vaishnavism in Bengal, they have also different marks. So Sri Ramakrishna is telling, who began the religious life, there's a denominational mark, wears a rosary around his neck, and scrupulously follow the outer conventions. Outer conventions. The sadhaka, a little advanced, when they started, they used to do like that, and slowly, when the sadhaka as a little advanced, his desire for outer show has become less. Now, outer show means actually we are accepting the outer world, external world. So when I am showing it, showing to whom? To the people, attracting the people. That is that I am accepting this world as real, and I want the appreciation from the worldly people that I am a religious man. This is just in the beginning. The mind has not accepted or understood the reality of the religious life. Then it says that slowly it is becoming less. He longs for the realization of God and prays to Him sincerely. He repeats the name of God and calls on Him with a guileless heart. Now, whom should we call the Siddha? He who has the absolute conviction that God exists and is the sole doer. He who has seen God. This is the Siddha. The first is the Pravartaka, then comes Sadhaka, and third is the Siddha, and finally Siddha of the Siddha. What is the Siddha of the Siddha? He who has not merely seen God, but has intimately talked with Him as Father, Son, or Beloved. That's called Siddha. And that is the highest. So that is avatars. That is a very difficult. But the Siddha many can become if they are trying. The Siddha Purusha, we have seen, the person who has realized God, seen God, talked to God, or on the other way from the path of the jnana, that he has realized the Brahman. This is Sri Ramakrishna is talking from the viewpoint of the Dvaitavadin. So the God and me, I have seen God. Advaitavadin, the Brahman, Atman, realization of that, but the same way, that is the Siddha. Now Sri Ramakrishna goes on giving this teaching. It is one thing to believe beyond a doubt that fire exists in wood, but it is quite another to get the fire from the wood, cook rice with its help, appease one's hunger, and so be satisfied. These are two entirely different things. So this is dive deep. So we believe that there is God. Millions of people, and in a different form, different names, as we call the different religions, they believe that God is there. And in the name of God, some people, not understanding it clearly for sure, they are fighting with others and taking they are thinking that they should protect their religion, and that is all different things. But that is not the diving deep. So dive deep means you must see God. No, don't stop there. You must talk to God. It must be just with Him. And Sri Ramakrishna will come in the next page, we'll find, I am not reading right now, but really, this is so important. And when we read this, we feel, oh, our life is spending in so many different ways. Time is so short. What will happen? Here, Sri Ramakrishna is telling, no one can put a limit to spiritual experience. So he gave an example. We know that the fire is there in the wood, but that is one thing, one knowledge. But one who has used that wood and made the fire and cooked food and eaten and got satisfied, are completely different. So the one is the Siddha, another Siddha. And it goes, and it is impossible to limit the spiritual experience. If you refer to one experience, there is another beyond that, and still another, and so on. So experience about God unlimited, as God is unlimited. In an ecstatic mood, referring to the Brahmas. Now he is there, so he is actually world teacher. So that's why he is going over there and is not asking that you must listen to me, you must convert yourself to, not like that. You want to follow your path, you think that good, no problem. But as a world teacher, and this is the beauty of Sri Ramakrishna, he is not at all jealous about the others, but so sincere to help them. That's why I again and again say, what is God? God is love and unselfishness. And when we see that Sri Ramakrishna is going to the Brahmas, and they were not accepting, afterwards we know, those who have read that, few of them, they were not accepting the Ramakrishna mission and Sri Ramakrishna himself and all that narrowness. But Sri Ramakrishna, he went to help them. Why? He loved them. Why he loved them? Because they are also trying to realize God in their own way. But one who is God himself, or we can say one who has realized God, he is having the wonderful love. So what is God then? Love and unselfishness. Sri Ramakrishna to the Brahma devotees: be firm in one ideal, either in God with form or in the formless God. Then alone you will realize God, otherwise not. With firm and unwavering belief, the followers of God with form will realize Him, as will those who speak of Him as formless. So whether the God has the form or not, that was the bone of content. So they were fighting on that. They wanted to separate themselves from the traditional Hinduism, because Hinduism accepted that their God can be with form. So they separated themselves. And what Sri Ramakrishna, the God himself, the embodiment of love and unselfishness, he said, no problem. You think that the God is formless? No problem. But be sincere to realize that formless God. You may eat a cake with icing either straight or sidewise. This is the beauty of the Sri Ramakrishna. Whatever he will say, immediately in one line or two lines, he will give an example, and that makes everything so simple. And he's telling that if you are eating the cake either straight or from sidewise, it will taste sweet either way. But you must have firm conviction. You must pray to Him wholeheartedly. Do you know what the God of the worldly people is like? The God of worldly people, this is his observation. It is like children saying to one another while at play, I swear by God. He doesn't know what is God, but simply I swear by God. They have learned the word from the quarrels of their aunts and grandmothers. Or it is like the God of a dandy, and the dandy all spick and span, his lips red from the chewing of the betel leaf, walks in the garden, came in hand and plucked a flower, exclaims to his friend, ah, what a beautiful flower God has made. But this feeling of a worldly person is momentary. So the one child, he is swearing by the name of God, and a person called Babu, a dandy, and a dandy in Bengali called Fit Babu. In those days they used to talk like that. So they are also using the word God, but they don't believe in God. They don't mean the word God means all pervading consciousness. Just use the word God. Majority of the people, they talk about God in this way. They're taking the name of God only in this fashion. You must be firm in one ideal. Dive deep. Otherwise, you cannot get the gems at the bottom of the ocean. You cannot pick up the gems if you only float on the surface. Dive deep, transforming the whole life, all actions as a service to God. Whatever we do, every moment, every time, the thoughts and the things that we are doing should be attached with God. That is called dive deep. So without God there cannot be anything. So Sri Ramakrishna urging, dive deep, otherwise you cannot get the gems at the bottom of the ocean. It is there. It is not that the gem is not there, it is there, very much there. And immediately he is singing, the master sang the sweet voice that beswitched the heart of the devotees like Keshav. Dive deep, O mind, dive deep in the ocean of God's beauty. If you descend to the uttermost depths, there you will find the gem of love. In Bengali, that song, Dub dub dub, Rup Shagare Amar Mon. Dive deep, dive deep, dive deep. It is there, the gem is there. Only thing, we have to go deep to find it out. The devotees felt as if they were in paradise itself. When the Sri Ramakrishna was talking like that, the ambience and the atmosphere in that particular place, in that room, it completely changed. So that is as if we are in the paradise. So that paradise, the heaven, that is only joy, that is only love, that is only brotherhood, friendship. And that they felt, Sri Ramakrishna to the Brahmas. Dive deep, learn to love God, plunge into the divine love. You see, I have heard how you pray. Why do you, Brahma, dwell so much on the glories of God? So this is called Jagat Guru. The Brahmas are not his disciple, and not that they invited him to listen to his talk, and not that they are willing to be guided, but Sri Ramakrishna's love goes beyond and try to help them. And how he is helping? He is correcting their method. They are praying to God, but the way they are praying is not very effective. Why? Sri Ramakrishna is telling, why so much glories of God? Is there such great need of your saying over and over again, O God, you have created the sky, the great oceans, the lunar world, the solar world? Is it necessary? We go on praising, thinking God will be very happy. No. This is spirituality. This is true Guru. The Guru knows how to guide. So they have developed the method of prayer, but there was a mistake. The God will not be very happy, and their mind will not go beyond this, because they are thinking it's a great thing, the lunar world, the solar world. So they are thinking it's a great, but God is much greater than that. And you cannot reach to God by saying this. It is nothing for him. So Sri Ramakrishna is guiding. Everybody is wonderstruck at the mere sight of a rich man's garden house. People become speechless at the sight of the trees, the flowers, the ponds, the drawing room, the pictures. But alas, how few are they who seek the owner of all these? Sri Ramakrishna, through an example, is giving. Only one or two inquire about him. He who seeks God with a longing heart can see him, talk to him as I am talking to you. This is a line one should undermark. So clearly he is mentioning that he who seeks God with a longing heart can see him and talk to him as I am talking to you. Then he is telling, look at it, so humble he is. Believe my words when I say that God can be seen. Believe my word. But to whom am I saying these words? Who will believe me? This is really the worldly people, all of them, they want to think of God, talk about God, describe about God, write about God, publishing books, volumes after volumes. But how many they told, believe me, there is God and you can talk to God, you can see God? Only God can say that. Can one find God in the sacred books? By reading the scripture, one may feel at the most that God exists. That's all. Shabda Jalam Maharanyam. The Shabda Jala, there's a Shabda means the words, and the net of, they go on expressing different ways, the same thing, but it is like the wilderness, it's like a forest where people, they completely are lost. They do not know what direction we should go. Inside the deep forest, you cannot understand which side you should go, which path you should take. So like that, we go on reading so many books. There is no limit. If you try to understand the Indian philosophies, there are so many, and so subtle ways they have analyzed. And if you add the Buddhism on that, my God, so much. Then Western philosophies, so many different ways, the expressions. So one should understand, by reading the scriptures, one may feel at the most that God exists. But when you were reading the scriptures, God exists, that much. But God does not reveal himself to a man unless he himself dives deep. Friends, don't make it in the mixture of the path of jnana and bhakti. The Sri Ramakrishna, he is talking about God and the realization of God, and he is giving emphasis on the realization of God through the path of devotion. And through the path of jnana, the knowledge, that the term is changing. Instead of God, it will be the Atman or Brahman. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that what is Brahman and that is same thing is the Bhagavan. The Bhagavan, Atma and Brahman are the same. Atma means for those who are meditating. Those they try to reach God through meditation. So they say the goal is Atman. Those who are analyzing the path of jnana, they say the goal is Brahman. And for the devotees, the bhaktas, the goal is Bhagavan. But they three are the same. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. Sri Ramakrishna also the same thing. But sometimes we misunderstand it, misinterpret it, and then the confusion comes. But if you are liking the path of dhyana, meditation, it is different. You can go, but the sincerity is the common thing. Sri Ramakrishna here is telling, only after such a plunge after the revelation of God through His grace is one's doubt destroyed. One word he added over here, by His grace. Maybe we are trying our best, but not that just because I am doing a few thousand japa, so the God will come and reveal. No, there is no surety. There is no contract like that. It is His grace. In Sanskrit, the grace is called kripa. This kripa is a completely different thing. What is this kripa? Then Sri Ramakrishna is explaining, the one man tied a cow in one place with some length with the rope. The cow was satisfied. She was going round and eating the grasses, and after some time the cow wanted to go beyond the circle, and she was trying hard to reach the other side. Then the owner noticed it. It came and then make the rope little longer so that the cow can reach to that particular area where the green grasses are there. So that is called kripa. But you have to try hard. As the cow was trying to reach over there and it was struggling, so the owner became, okay, it wants to go there. Same way, when we are trying our best and praying and crying, then only God may give that His grace may come. So we cannot say that these are the things that you should do and you will realize. But when the mind becomes pure, automatically that revelation comes. His grace, no doubt. You may read scriptures by the thousands and recite thousands of texts, but unless you plunge into God with yearning of heart, you will not comprehend Him. By mere scholarship, you may fool man, but not God. Scriptures and books. What can one achieve with these alone? Nothing can be realized without His grace. Strive with a longing heart for His grace. Through His grace, you will see Him and He will talk to you. Then the sub-judge, we read that the last week, the sub-judge also came. He was a Brahma devotee, and now he is asking, giving the argument, Sir, does God show more grace to one than to another? So grace, that means kripa, may be that someone is doing little, but God is giving more to him, and someone who was trying so much that God didn't give so that to him. So judge immediately, through the point of view of law, he is judging. Does God show more grace to one than to another? If so, he can be accused of the fault of partiality. So as because the law, naturally he spoke like that. The master, Sri Ramakrishna, what are you saying? Do you mean to say that the moon and the glowworm are the same, though both give light? Ishwar Vidyasagar asked me the same question. He said, is it a fact, sir, that God gives more power to one and less to another? God, I said, exists in all being as the all-pervading spirit. Friends, this is the word that we should notice. Sri Ramakrishna was talking from the dualistic point of view. But now, to give the answer whether he is favoring one and not favoring another, what he said? He said, the God exists in every being as the all-pervading spirit. Exist in all being, the all-pervading spirit, as an Atman. So the Chaitanya, the consciousness that is within us and all being. Now, next sentence. Then he said, he is in an ant as well as in me, but there are different manifestations of his power in different beings. The beautiful answer. Different manifestations in different beings. You cannot explain that. Sometimes we try to get the answer through the karma phala. Maybe in the past birth, that's why Hindus they accept, Buddhists also accept the karma phala. This karma phala, the work and its result, because of the work that I did in the past, and as a result I am getting a little the expressions of the divinity in my life because of the karma. But he is equal to everyone. First, again let us analyze. Is God partial? No. How? Because He is present in every being. Answer. He is present in every being. What is a being? From the ant to Sri Ramakrishna, is it me? That means if we make the differences, the bodies, the existences, so from an ant to Sri Ramakrishna, but in every being God is there, otherwise the body has no value because of the consciousness, because of the Chaitanya that is present in that. So that is equal. Now, the manifestation of the God, that different, and that is called the grace, and that because of the different karma phala. And maybe why the word grace has been used, maybe someone who has not done that way, but suddenly God feels, now I should give it to him, and no one can question. So that it is going, no favorism, but God knows through whom He is going to manifest. He is present in every being, but His manifestation different, that's all. And He says that if all are the same, then why have we come here to see you, attracted by your renown? It's talking about the Vidyasagar Mahashaya. Have you grown a pair of horns? Oh no, it's not that. You have compassion, you have scholarship, there is a great degree of these virtues in you than in others. That is the reason you are so well known. Don't we see that there are men who single-handed can defeat 100%? Again, one man takes to his heels in fear of another. You see such a person. If there are not different manifestations of power in different beings, then why did people respect Keshav Sen so much? He is giving the example of the then famous people. So the manifestation of the God's power, and for particularly our Vidyasagar, he said that your manifestation, why? You are so kind, you are so genuine, and you are helping people. So that is the all good work, good deed. So obviously this is the main, and it brings the karma phala. If we do good things, obviously the result will be good, and the manifestation of the God will be more. It is said in the Gita that if a man is respected and honored by many, whether it be for his scholarship or his music or his oratory or anything else, then you may know for certain that he is endowed with a special divine power. So this is the one should understand. Sometimes we criticize many people, but if you look at their life, they have got that power. Sometimes some people misutilize that power, but they got it because of their past birth, the good work, God's grace. A Brahma to the sub-judge, so look at it. This is a very interesting. He told, and when Sri Ramakrishna was analyzing these, he is not convinced. The person who is going to talk now, I am going to read. And he said to the sub-judge, why don't you accept what he says? Then all this explanation, he couldn't understand. What he says, accept it. Sri Ramakrishna sharply to that Brahma, what sort of man are you to accept words without conviction? Why? That is hypocrisy. This is called hypocrisy. Without conviction, What is that conviction? I must first analyze. So to become a devotee also, dualist also, first and foremost thing, analyzing. If we don't analyze, we not only become hypocrite, we become very dangerous for the human society. And that is exactly what we find. A group of people, for their own benefit, for their small little benefit, they are actually utilizing the religion to make a huge group of people, number of people, against others. And that is dangerous. Unless and until we understand, we should not accept it. That someone comes from some religious group and they say, look at those people, they are bad people, and go and kill them. And I immediately, oh, is it they're bad people? Let me go. I didn't analyze. Just because he is telling, why should I accept it? So that is bichar, the discrimination, analyzing whatever you say. Even the scripture, if it is telling, in some places it says, if the Veda says the milk is black, don't believe it. For the Hindus, Vedas is the last word, final word. Even if the Veda says the milk is black, one should not accept it. It cannot be. So that is the way one has to understand. When we talk about the God, it is not just faith, but the faith with conviction. When we are accepting the God is there, before that I have analyzed, and then only I am accepting. So Sri Ramakrishna very sharply said, if you don't understand and then simply accept that, that is hypocrisy and that is dangerous. The Brahma was much embarrassed. Subjudge said, must we renounce the world? Now he is asking Sri Ramakrishna, no. Why should you? A man can realize God even in the world. So this is also a very strong statement. A man can realize God even in the world, but at the beginning he must spend a few days in solitude. Friends, we were reading the Bhagavata and we were discussing the Sunday, we were discussing that the God himself, Sri Krishna said in the Bhagavata, that being the Supreme Lord, it is not the Krishna form, the Supreme Lord. He made the 4 varna and 4 ashrama. Varna means the caste, and also the way of life, the how they should live. So that is called 4. And in that, brahmacharya, garastha, vanaprastha, sannyas, the student's life, householder's life, retired life, and a monk's life. So that 4 group they made. And obviously, first and foremost is brahmacharya, student's life. And in that they are learning, they used to learn under the care of the gurus, the exalted characters. They learned that truth is this, that God alone exists. So when they are going back because of some of their desire, they are going back to live a householder's life, they always knew what is the truth. And after doing all those things, completing his duties as a householder, and from the vanaprasthi, from the retired life, once again they started recapitulating all the truth that they learned from the guru and prepared the life for the ultimate life, that is the monastic life, the sannyasa life, that is giving up the whole thing, giving up the ego and accepting the God as the only being. So Sri Ramakrishna is telling one can realize God, why not? In the household. He is asking, shall I have to renounce the world? No. Why should you? Man can realize God even in the world, but at the beginning he must spend a few days in solitude. He must practice spiritual discipline in a solitary place. He should take a room near his house so that he may come home only for his meals. He is giving the simple way how one can practice. See, I have seen the people, they don't have the background, but they'd like to realize God. So they write to me, can we go and spend some time? We have in the Vedanta Society Chicago a retreat center in the Michigan. There's the Ganges. So they like to go and spend some days, and how they'll spend, you'll read books, lie down, or they do these walking. But you have to have the guidance from someone. Either you know, or you should have the guidance from someone, then only you can utilize that solitude. Otherwise not. Just living all alone, there's so many people are living alone. Are they growing into spirituality? No. Guidance is necessary. Your clear thought should be there. For what? I have come to this solitude. So this is very, very important. And it says that he should take a room near his house so that he may come home for his meals. Keshav, Pratap and others said to me, Sir, we follow the ideal of the king Janaka. Those who have studied the Bhagavata or the Ashtavakra Samhita, you know that. The Ashtavakra, the Janaka, how he lived. And here, casually he said, Sir, we follow the ideal of King Janaka. Janaka was a king, at the same time, he was a spiritual giant. Mere words don't make a King Janaka, I replied. How many austerities King Janaka first had to perform in solitude, standing on his head, and so on. Do something fast, then you may become a King Janaka. You see a man writing English fluently. Immediately he is giving the example. But could he do that at the very start? Perhaps he was the son of a poor parents. He was cook in a family and earned his meals by his service. Perhaps he had to struggle hard to go on with his studies. It is after all these efforts that he can now write such fluent English. See, simple way he is giving the example. Okay, friends, we will stop over here. Now, what we have learned today, and very wonderfully, God is there. Only we should have to have a sincere faith in the words of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. God is there, God can be seen, and we can talk to God. That is but what we should do? Plunge sincerely into spiritual life. How? In whatever position we are in the social life, we should take that sincerely, and we like to, along with that, the spiritual, the guidance should be, we should go according to the spiritual guidance. What is the spiritual guidance? The Guru has given, or the scripture, that God is there, constantly go on praying to God. So, before ending, if there any question, let me try to answer.
There are multiple questions. First is from Srima Biswas. She is asking, how should we behave with our children?
Srima, that you are a mother, behave like a mother, very good mother. And mother is she who knows how to guide a child. According to the children's psychology is very difficult, very complicated. We have to understand that. But because of your motherly love and affection, you can overcome all those. Only thing you have to understand, what is good for the child, that should be done. Sometimes the children don't understand, they go on demanding for many things. Don't think just fulfilling the demand of the child you are helping. No, it is not. You have to be sometimes little strong and tell, no, it is not for you at this moment. You have to understand, you have to earn, and then this. Good habit you have to inculcate in that child. First is maintaining the time, cleanliness. So by that is the way you can help a child.
Kamal Chaudhary is asking two questions. First, Pranam Maharaj, thank you for such a sweet lecture. First question, when we meditate on a chosen ideal in the mind, what does dive deep mean here?
That is to, if you are meditating on the idol, slowly, if you can merge into that, you have to forget that you are meditating on some God. No, you are that God. You are merging into that. You don't find the environment, you don't find anything around, and you become that God, and that is called dive deep into that meditation.
The second question Kamal Babu has, when conversing with God, what should we talk about to him or her?
Now, Kamal Babu, that depends. You know that when you are talking with God, and you know that God is nothing but all love. So as a son, as a child, you can talk to God whatever is happening. So God, give me the mukti. I don't want another birth. I like to, or you can say these are the problems that is happening. So please help me to do this. And like that only we can do.
Then Tuhin Tana. Two questions. By mere bhakti, can we achieve our goal, or bhakti transforms to jnana when we achieve our goal?
So bhakti, mere bhakti, that the word you have used, the mere bhakti is not a mere bhakti. Bhakti itself is nothing but the jnana. Why? Because the knowledge, what is that knowledge? God is everything, isn't it? And the knowledge that you are talking about, the jnana you are talking about, what it says? Brahman is everything. What is the difference? Two terms. That's why Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna said, whom you call Brahman, I call that as Kali. Look at it. So bhakti means a complete dedication on that knowledge that God is only existing and nothing else, and then only you can do the bhakti. Is it not jnana itself? So don't bother about that. Try to develop the faith in the existence of God, as we have just heard from Sri Ramakrishna, and also try to develop love for God.
The second question is, what is Jnana Mishra Bhakti?
This is Jnana Mishra Bhakti. So that you can read that our Narada Bhakti Sutra, and Narada, the definition of the bhakti is this. He says, Tad arpita akhila acharata tad vishmarame parama vyakulata iti. The beautiful way. The only two sentences. Tad arpita akhila acharata. Whatever we do, everything we are offering to God. And second, if I am forgetting the existence of God even for a second, I feel pang. Oh my God, why this? please God, don't go away from my consciousness even for a second. So that Bhishma. So this is called the knowledge, devotion clubbed with knowledge.
The last question is from Arpita Vishwas. Arpita is asking, once love comes from God, there should be no fear. Is that correct? If,
Yeah.
if there is always a fear of unknown, yet I say I love God, does that mean I still have not been able to love God?
Yes. If you have the fear, ultimately we can say we have not realized God or loved God. When we love God and we know that God is there to save me, there cannot be any fear. That is the main thing. This is completely, they remove the fear. So why we fear? We fear to lose something. Maybe sometimes the health, sometimes the wealth, sometimes the name and fame, sometimes so many fears are there. And the greatest fear is the death, fear of death. But when I know God is there to take care of me, ultimate, and I don't know anything else but God, then there cannot be any fear. If you read, maybe you know, the Prahlada, his father wanted to kill him, and he was completely fearless. So when you love God sincerely and 100%, then there will be no fear. Thank you for the good questions. Let us now conclude with this mantra, offering our pranam to the great God Sri Ramakrishna. Niranjanam nityam anantarupam bhaktanukampa dhrita vigraham vai Ishavataram paramishamidyam tam Ramakrishnam shirasa namama. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.